A new business was opening, and one of the owner's friends wanted to send flowers for the occasion. And they arrived at the new business site, and the owner was glad for them, and he read the card, and it said, "Rest in peace." And when the friend found out, she became very angry at this, and she called the florist to complain. And after she had told the florist the obvious mistake and how angry she was, the florist said, "Madam, I'm really sorry for the mistake, but rather than getting angry, you should imagine this. Somewhere there is a funeral taking place today, and they have flowers with a note saying, 'Congratulations on your new location.'" Have you ever thought back to a time when you'd done something or bought something or selected something and you kick yourself and you think, "Man, if only I knew then what I knew now, I would have done things differently." Have you ever gone to a restaurant and ordered something completely unfamiliar and then really regretted it? Yeah. Have you ever been pushed into buying something by a salesman who's just really pushing you? And you buy something and later you think, "Why did I do that? I didn't really want that." I think all of us can say yes to something in there because we're all people and we all have the potential to make bad decisions. And last week, I introduced this new series about bad decision making and said we'd be discussing 4 major types of bad decisions. And the type we're talking about today is uninformed decisions. This is when we make decisions, but we don't have the information needed to make a good decision. Now I'm going to break that down into 2 parts. First, you need to get the information so you can make a decision. And second, you have to make sure that the information you have is actually worth having. Is it any good? And I have some great Old Testament examples to help us explore these ideas, but first I want to give you a more modern day example. So, when Sarah and I got married, we bought this house in Litchfield. And the house is from early 1900s. And for the last 20 years it had been a rental property. So there were a lot of things in there that were in pretty rough shape. But it was quite livable. We moved in, But one of the many things that needed some fixing right off the bat was the plumbing underneath the kitchen sink. It was leaky. All right. So I looked under there, and it was set up with CPVC. So I thought, this isn't too hard. I just cut the old stuff out, get some new pipe, glue it in. I'll be golden, no problem. Now, home maintenance wasn't exactly foreign to me. My dad did it all the time. But as a kid growing up, I didn't really pay attention to what he was doing, Right. Yeah, my dad worked on rentals all the time. He did tons, and I helped, but I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the intricate stuff here. So anyways, now it's my turn. And if there's really only one thing I knew about plumbing, all right? And that was that my dad had this blue stuff. I didn't really know what it was, but he had this blue stuff that he was always putting on pipes when he put them together. And so I figured, all right, I'm going to get me some of that blue stuff. I'm going to get me some pipe, and that's pretty much it, man. I'll be good to go. So this was 12 years ago, so I don't remember all the details exactly, but and I'm not sure if Dad had some of this blue stuff laying around and I just snagged it, or if I actually went and bought some. I don't remember, but I got some of the blue stuff. And I got my pipe, and I was about to be the plumber king. All right? I was going to rock this. So I cut the bad stuff out, and I cut some new stuff to fit it, and I slathered the blue stuff on there, and I stuck it all together, and I waited a day for it to dry, and we turned the water on, and it was perfect. No leaks. It was great. All right? So then at some point, I believe we were sitting in the living room, and we hear whoosh. We go running in there, and of course under our sink we've got the cabinets there, to hide all the piping. There's water just pouring out of there. It actually, it did blow. I wasn't sure if it did or not. But yes, it did blow the doors open on it. I wasn't sure if I was just imagining that, if it really, but yes, it did blow the doors open on there. So we get the water turned off, and we get that all cleaned up, all right? So lo and behold, I had used the wrong stuff to put the pipes together, okay? And this was because I never actually looked up what I was supposed to use to put the pipes together. I didn't look up what this blue stuff was or what it was used for. And I didn't ask anybody, I was newly married. I'm the man of the house. I know how to do this, right? So I just put it together. So I made a bad decision. Because I hadn't taken the time to get the information that I needed to make a good decision there. Now, these days, I'm just the opposite. I spend so much time getting information, I never get around to making the decision. Total opposite now. But anyway, so this scenario of making decisions without getting the information, this happens all the time. We all do this. And it's not just us, but there are historical figures who did this in the Bible, and we're going to read about some of their stories. We're going to take a look at just a couple of them to see what we can learn. And we're going to start with Joshua 6 and 7. And this is when they're attacking Jericho. They're marching around Jericho. And they've done this for 6 days now, and now we're into the 7th, and we're going to read what happens. This is in Joshua 6, starting at line 15. And it says, "On the 7th day they rose early at dawn of day and marched around the city in the same manner 7 times. It was only on that day that they marched around the city 7 times. And at the 7th time, when the priest had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, 'Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. And the city and all that is within it shall be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers whom we sent. But you,'" talking to the guys, "'but you keep yourselves from the things devoted to destruction, lest when you have devoted them, you take any of the devoted things and make the camp of Israel a thing for destruction and bring trouble upon it. But all the silver and gold and every vessel of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord. They shall go to the treasury of the Lord.'" So on the 7th day, they finally conquer Jericho. They're going to rush in there. They're going to kill everybody. They're going to destroy everything. And all the good stuff's got to go in the treasury of the Lord, all right? So the people in the army, the soldiers, they get to keep nothing. Nothing. They don't get anything. And that's super important. So let's see how that went. So now we're going to Joshua 7. And it's at the very beginning of the chapter. "But the people of Israel broke faith in regard to the devoted things. For Achan, the son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took some of the devoted things. And the anger of the Lord burned against the people of Israel. Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Bethaven, east of Bethel. And he said to them, 'Go up, spy out the land.' And the men went up, and they spied out Ai. And they returned to Joshua, and they said to him, 'Do not have all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ai. Do not make the whole people toil up there, for they are few.' So about 3,000 men went up from the people, and they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai killed about 36 of their men, and chased them before the gate as far as Shebarim, and struck them at the descent. And the hearts of the people melted and became as water." And then a little while later we read, "The Lord said to Joshua, 'Get up, why have you fallen on your face? Israel has sinned. They have transgressed my covenant that I commanded them. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen and lied and put them among their own belongings. Therefore, the people of Israel cannot stand before their enemies.'" Okay, so after Joshua was done with Jericho, he sends people to check out Ai, and they say, "Hey, this is going to be a cakewalk, all right? Just send a small group up there, and they'll take it." And they get their butts kicked. Now, just like the story about my misadventures in plumbing, Joshua has really dropped the ball here on 2 points. And those 2 failures led him to making this bad decision to send this group of men into Ai. Now, these 2 points that trip Joshua up, these are the same things that trip us up all the time and lead us to make uninformed decisions. So we're going to take a look at those points and see what we can learn from his mistakes. First, question to ask yourself, is there any piece of this decision that is vitally important for a good outcome. In my plumbing example, it was vitally important that I use the right stuff to glue the pipe together. Right? I have that stuff now. I use it all the time, all right? And my pipes hold together fine. For Joshua, it was vitally important that nobody took any of the devoted things. He said that himself. Vitally important. But he did not check to make sure that happened. Instead, he gave them the Adam and Eve treatment. Hey, don't go eating that fruit on that tree right there. Don't do it. Hey, don't go taking any of that glittery silver and gold stuff right there. Don't do it, okay? Because that worked out so well with Adam and Eve, right? So when we're looking to make a decision, just one of the things we need to ask ourselves, what vital pieces are there to this decision that will make it or break it? If I'm buying new kitchen plates and I know I use the microwave a lot, I better make sure those plates are microwave safe, right? Now, the place I work, they didn't do this. They actually got plates for people to use because they were getting rid of paper products. They wanted to be sustainable, all that stuff. So they bought plates, real nice plates for us to use. And they didn't think about the fact that we use the microwave a lot. And they had to blow up a microwave before they realized that the plates they got weren't microwave safe. So make sure you study up on the things that could cause your decision to go badly, or your microwave might blow up, or something bad might happen. Just take that time to research it. Second point, that you should make sure you get some good advice. I didn't get any advice when I worked on the plumbing. My dad worked on plumbing all the time. He would know exactly what to do. I did not ask him because I was a man now, right? I didn't need to. But Joshua, he only got advice from one source. Those guys came back and said, don't worry about it, man. Just send a couple guys up there. You'll be fine. Before the Battle of Jericho, the Lord spoke to Joshua, telling him that the city was going to be given over to his hand. But Joshua didn't get any such talk like that from God this time. He didn't consult the Lord beforehand. Only after disaster struck did he go to God for advice. So our second lesson on this one is ask for advice, and ask for advice from multiple people. Try to get as much advice as you can. Not all of it's going to be good, but this will give you more information to help you make a better decision. And this point isn't exactly rocket science. The Bible has this lesson over and over again in Proverbs. And I'm going to just list some of those. Proverbs 24:6. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. Proverbs 19:20 and 21. Listen to advice and accept instruction that you may gain wisdom in the future. Many are the plans in the mind of man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. Proverbs 11:14. Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. So from Joshua's mistake, we've learned two important lessons to help us avoid making uninformed decisions. First, know that you need to research the important points of your decision to make sure that they're working for you and not against you. Okay? And second, we need to ask advice, both from the people we know, people we know who are experts, people who know more than we do. And secondly, we need to come to God because he knows everything, right? So all wisdom comes from God. And it probably won't, God's advice probably won't come to you booming from heaven. Maybe. It doesn't tend to do that for me. But I think we've all been in a certain time where we've thought about something. We were at a certain crossroad. We were going to make a decision, and we felt God pulling us or pushing us one way or another. And we just have to be receptive to that. Just, be ready to accept that. Okay, so now we know how to get information. We research, we ask people for advice, we're getting information. And we should be all set, right? But I'm going to throw a wrench into things. What if the information you're given is bad? Okay? The commercial says that product is going to do all this cool stuff, but then you buy it and it doesn't do any of that cool stuff. Right? The salesman tells you that the watch is waterproof, but you drop in the toilet just one time, and it doesn't seem to work as well anymore. Maybe it's not the water. I don't know. But the politician promises that you're all going to get better jobs, and he gets elected, and we don't have better jobs. What happened? What's with all this? Well, you've been fed bad information. And bad information can lead to bad decisions just as easily or even more easily than if you have no information at all. So how do we spot bad information, and what do we do about it? And for that, we're going to fast forward a bit. And we're going to go to 1 Kings 12. So we've jumped from Joshua all the way up to just after the death of King Solomon. And at the end of his reign, he had started to stray away from God and follow the gods of all his many, many wives. And God got pretty fed up with him about this stuff. And so he let him know that his son was only going to get a little piece of the kingdom. Only going to get a small piece. And the rest of it's going to go to some other guy. Now the Lord picked this guy named Jeroboam to rule the rest of Israel. And Solomon chased that guy out of the country. Like, I don't want you here. Get out. But when Solomon dies, and then Solomon's son, Rehoboam, takes the throne, Jeroboam comes back to give Rehoboam one last chance to keep this kingdom together, right? We're going to see how that works out. We're at 1 Kings 12. So Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. And as soon as Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard of it, for he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon, then Jeroboam returned from Egypt, and they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Israel came and said to Rehoboam, "Your father made our yoke heavy. Now therefore lighten the hand of service of your father and his heavy yoke on us, and we will serve you." So this is the guy who's been promised like almost the whole kingdom. And he says, if you just lighten up, you can have the kingdom back. He said to them, "Go away for 3 days and come again to me." So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam took counsel with the old men who had stood before Solomon his father while he was yet alive, saying, "How do you advise me to answer this people?" And they said to him, "If you will be a servant to this people today and serve them and speak good words to them when you answer them, then they will be your servants forever." But he abandoned the counsel of the old men and gave him and took counsel with the young men who had grown up with him and stood before him. And he said to them, "What do you advise that we answer this people, and who have said to me, 'Lighten the yoke that your father put on us'?" And the young men who had grown up with him said, "Thus shall you speak to this people who said to you, 'Your father made our yoke heavy, but you lighten it for us.' Thus shall you say to them, 'My little finger is thicker than my father's thighs. And now, whereas my father laid on you a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions.'" That's pretty harsh, right? Scorpions. And then we're going to jump a ways down to line 16. And it says there, "And when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, 'What portion do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Look now to your own house, David.' So Israel went to their tents, but Rehoboam reigned over the people of Israel who lived in the cities of Judah. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was a taskmaster over the forced labor, and all Israel stoned him to death with stones. And King Rehoboam hurried to mount his chariot to flee Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. And when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had returned, they sent and called him to the assembly and made him king over Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only." All right. So, Rehoboam has to make a decision. Jeroboam asks him to make life easier for the people, and they'll follow him. So, the choice is, does he make life easier for the people, reduce the workload, reduce the taxes, reduce the government interference, whatever it takes? All the things that politicians promise us whenever they want to get reelected. Is he going to do that? Or does he just ignore this guy and all those whiny little peasants and their needs? Well, he wants to make an informed decision, all right? So He talks it over with the elder advisors, and they say, you should appease the people. Do what they say. Not wanting to have only one source of information, so he's doing pretty good so far. He talks to his friends, and they say, you should make life harder for those people. Show them who's boss around here. So which group should he listen to? Now we have the opportunity to read what happened, and we know he listens to his friends, and the kingdom splits apart. But if we didn't have the rest of the story, how would we figure out the best path to take? Well, first of all, when you make a choice, whenever you accept counsel, whenever you make a purchase, think to yourself, who does this benefit? When a salesperson comes to your door with whatever they're selling, be it vacuum cleaners or new siding or gas contracts, you have to remember they did not stop there because they like you. They didn't stop there for your benefit. Okay? Now, maybe the product they're selling is okay, maybe it's not. But at the end of the day, they want to come away with money in their pocket, and they don't really care how you end up. When a politician introduces a new piece of legislation, you need to think it through. Figure out who's going to benefit from it. Most likely, unless you're a good friend with the politician, it's not you. So, it might be, right? I'm being maybe a little too cynical on this. There are lots of good people out there, too, who want to help, who want to do the right thing. But this is just a question that we have to be willing to ask if we're going to make a good decision. Rehoboam did not ask this question. On the one side, you have the elder advisors who have been through things like this, probably countless times with King Solomon. Okay? They have seen how different answers will affect the people. They understand the people. They know how they'll react. And they really don't feel like losing their jobs or their lives if the people revolt against them right now. On the other hand, you have the friends of a son of a king. And they've most likely grown up in a spoiled life of privilege with no understanding of how the normal people think or how government runs. And they don't want this royal treasury to start dwindling now that they're in charge. Now that they've got a say in things, they want to crank them taxes up, man. Get those people working. We want to build some new statues of us, you know. There's no statues of us out there yet. So they want to make their mark on this kingdom, and they want all that tax money and all those slaves to make stuff. And certainly we've seen plenty of modern news stories of stupid things that, spoiled rich kids do. I wouldn't trust one to run a blender, let alone a country, So his friends are looking out for themselves. They're his friends. They're going to get places in the government. They're going to reap benefits. They're going to get the money. Now, the elders, they're also looking out for themselves, all right? So let's not kid ourselves. They are looking out for themselves. But they have been around long enough that they know that when a ruler takes care of his people, the people take care of him. The people help the kingdom prosper. They understand this. So even though Rehoboam made a good move when he asked for advice, he ultimately made the wrong choice because he didn't discern. He didn't stop to discern. That's the word to focus on here. Discern what was good from what was bad. 2 weeks ago in the intro message, I talked about how Solomon asked God for wisdom. And I want to quickly remind you of exactly what he asked for. And this is 1 Kings 3, line 9. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this, your great people? So it's not just about getting information. We need to discern what is right from what is wrong. And we see this theme in the New Testament as well. 1 John 4, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets had gone out into the world. 1 Thessalonians 5, line 20. Do not despise prophecies, but test everything. Hold fast to what is good. Abstain from every form of evil. So let's wrap this up here and figure out what we've actually learned today about making good decisions. First, you need to find out what important points of this decision are. If I'm deciding between buying chocolate cake and chocolate pie to bring home to my wife, I better know if she likes chocolate or not first. I better know if she likes cake or pie. Right now she doesn't like chocolate, so it'd be a terrible decision to make. Though I'd benefit pretty well because I get to eat a whole chocolate cake or pie, right? Find out the things you really need to know that's going to make that decision successful. And just research it like crazy. Get all the info you can. Secondly, and this goes with the first point, get the information you need to make the decision by asking for some advice. Somewhere out there is somebody who's probably already made this decision. And they have some experience they can pass on. So don't just stick to one source if you can. Try to get as many as you can. Get those different points of view that will help you make that decision. And that'll feed into this third point. We need to be discerning about the information that comes to us. Not all advice is good. It may be, all advice is cheap, but it's not good. Or free advice is seldom cheap, whatever. Anyway, some of it's going to be good, some will be bad. And we need to make sure to sift that bad stuff out. And sometimes you can research that yourself and figure it out. But sometimes you're going to be at a loss, and quite literally, God only knows the answer. God only knows. So you're going to need to rely on Him. Listen to Him. Listen to where He's leading you. Listen to what He's telling you. He might just be pushing you like crazy, and you're ignoring it. Lean on Him and His Spirit to help guide your decisions. And remember here, our goal is not just to make better decisions for our own good. Yes, it's helpful for us. It's good for us. But we're also showing the world that our teacher, this person that we profess to be the one that we follow all of his teachings. This is how we live our lives. Our teacher is good and wise and wants us to live rightly, guided by his understanding and wisdom, as it says in Proverbs 2. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. Amen.